Good evening, or afternoon or morning, wherever you are, Pipeline Nation. We're coming at you hot live on the internet today to talk about a Pokemon video game. With me today, I have a fellow Pokemon veteran.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
It's definitely not me.
Hi,
I thought this would be obvious. This dude just said it's the first time he's ever seeing the Game Freak logo on a video game before. All right.
But to be fair, he did play Pokemon Red at some point. That does make him a veteran.
He said,
"No, I play Pokemon Yellow."
Yellow.
That makes you a veteran. That makes you a victim of the anime, not a veteran. So yeah.
But, hi, I'm Mina. I am apparently a veteran of Pokemon. I guess I really am. I've played too many of these damn games.
Yeah.
You survived in the Pokemon mines.
I didn't think this was questionable. And then we have over here in the hater seat
the Pokemon new player, new to the Pokemon party, Jared, also known as One Up Muffin from the Discord.
Oh yeah, and I'm James. I forgot to say that in my flashy opening. We're here today to talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus.
I'm
didn't they change it?
I refuse.
They changed it to Arceus officially.
Oh, is it Arceus?
Is it Arceus?
That's what.
Yeah,
okay, I don't know. That's what Kato was saying from Waypoint.
You're right, because it went from Arceus to Arceus to Arceus. Yeah, you're 100% right.
Arceus sounds so much better, and I'm gonna say Arceus from here on out.
Same.
But y'all can say whatever you want.
No, I'm saying Arceus because that is the proper way to say it. I don't care what Pokemon
so
Company
guys,
International has to say.
So you guys are getting messages throughout the game on your Arse phone?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Fantastic. So yeah, this game came out about a month and a half ago at this point. Or no, about a month. Exactly a month ago. Today is the 28th.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Time is a mystery.
No, space is a mystery.
This is... we're not actually going to be talking about the recent Gen 9 reveal much today. There might be a little interjection about it at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe a teensy bit, but I think we're going to be talking about that next week. This is just
maybe we'll, if we have time, maybe we'll, do, 5 minutes of unhinged Gen 9 talk.
Yeah.
But we will talk about, the DLC a little bit.
Sure. This episode will be pretty much laser focused on Arceus, and I guess maybe kind of the expectations around Pokemon going forward in a minor way, but not specifically about the Gen 9 stuff. Just want to get that out of the way up front.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a bigger Gen 9 episode next week.
So, Arceus. I had
the future of Pokemon.
I had low expectations going in. I don't know about you guys.
Really?
So to be clear about how I engage with video game media in the preview cycle, usually only watch the reveal trailer, and then maybe whatever trickles in my face, from Twitter. I don't seek out media past a reveal trailer 99% of the time. And that was basically how I treated Arceus. But the reveal trailer was cool, but I had very little faith in Game Freak to pull something like this off, because they're such a one-note studio most of the time, other than the little indie games they do. I understand. Little Town Hero will come out one day. It's fine. But the games they make that do well are very one-note. And Pokemon's not a series that they take a lot of risks on.
No.
So going into this, my expectations were kind of low. What did you guys expect?
I've been pretty optimistic, because I saw that first trailer and I was like, holy shit. And, I get it, immediately you could tell this was going to be a big jump for the franchise, but that doesn't mean the execution is right? And so I think that was the question in everyone's mind. But inherently, I was just excited because they were trying something new. This is such a radical shift for Pokemon that no matter how it ended up, I was going to give it a fair shake, because and go in pretty positive, because I feel like, commend them for even taking this step.
Right. I wanted to go in with an open mind. For sure.
I thought it looked good from the first trailer, and then I started my hope started dying as people gave false they were like, oh, it's a lot like Monster Hunter. I'm like, maybe I'm not interested in this at all. But then it started to come out, and people were like, no, it's very open world. And like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not open world, right? Like we had maybe initially thought from the reveal trailer.
No.
But each of the 5 areas are very open, and
they're big.
They're big and they're open, and you can explore them kind of however you want, right?
You're not like going in and out of missions like you are in a Monster
Honestly,
Hunter.
once you get access to all the ride Pokemon, you can explore them in a way that is honestly so surprising to me that I don't know. I really didn't expect them to go as far as.
You go literally everywhere.
Even when you get your first one, Weirdeer, right? You can kind of Skyrim all over the place, right?
I love Skyrim and up close.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's almost intentional.
Oh, no, for sure. No, it is definitely intentional, but they do this fun thing where it feels like you're cheating, right? It feels like you're outsmarting the game. But they definitely made it so that the ride Pokemon intentionally kind of break things, right? In a way that's very fun. It's just... And I guess to talk about the core loop of the game, like, it is... I really enjoy just delving into these areas, going into this world, seeing all sorts of Pokemon, catching pretty much everything I see, right? And seeing the way they behave and everything, like it's this loop that like just never really got old to me the entire way through, you know. Quite frankly, and I haven't completed the Pokédex, but I still want to keep playing, you know, because I'm still having a lot of fun with it. Damn you, Elden Ring, for distracting me from it. But
yeah. The open world stuff is my favorite. Like you said, I love just walking around the areas, finding Pokemon I haven't seen before. Like I probably went through 5 hours before I found the Ponytas in the first area, just because I literally just hadn't gone that direction.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah. To me, so there's a couple things that I find interesting about the discourse leading up to the game, and especially what you mentioned, Jared, about people comparing it to Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like somebody along the line, like that seems almost like a game of telephone, right? Yeah. Where like somebody was like, oh, it's not totally open world, there's just big open maps like there are in Monster Hunter Rise. Yeah. And then that got like 30 people down a line, and they're just like, yo, it's like Monster Hunter! Because it's nothing like Monster Hunter.
It's not like Monster Hunter.
I thought we would be getting quests from a board and then like going out and hunting, and like it's not that at all.
I'm going to say a string of words that is going to sound very stupid and very Nintendo fanboy-esque. Mm-hmm. But the closest game to it is Breath of the Wild.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. Like, it, you know, despite the gameplay loops being fairly different, but
yeah.
I think this is the first game since Breath of the Wild, for me personally, to evoke those feelings I had playing that game.
No, yeah, I agree.
So, I have a few
There's
theories.
no map markers.
I have a few theories about why it's so good at this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, against all odds, it controls really well.
Yes.
Almost suspiciously well.
It's really impressive. Like, you know, giving direct control of the player with the free camera, but more importantly, like giving you a dodge roll, making you having to aim the Pokeballs and the items you throw. Like, I think it was very smart because, you know, a lot has been said about the Pokemon formula or the battle system in particular, right? And you know, for most people, myself included, like the battle system is pretty much untouchable, right? But there's always been a crowd that's been like, we want real-time action, like in Pokemon. But Legends does a really smart blending of, you still have that traditional Pokemon battle system that makes the series so great. But what they realized is, because the argument I've always made of why it shouldn't be real-time action is, directly controlling the Pokemon just doesn't make sense. You know?
No, you're the trainer.
You're the trainer. But what they did is, okay, well, instead, we'll make the Pokemon control just like it always is. You're calling out commands to them. But we will give the trainer more stuff to do that require, you know, you to more actively participate. Yeah, with You know, so I thought that was a very smart way to bring those elements into the franchise.
So I want to say I agree with everything you just said, but what shocks me is that Game Freak's never made a 3D action game before. This game,
Yeah.
the characters in this game control better than the characters feel in the Pokemon games, like the 3D like full regular JRPG Pokemon games. And to me, that's crazy. Like, I know that it matters a lot less in those games, obviously, because it's an RPG, and movement's, like, usually not a big part of that. But in this game, they somehow nailed movement, which I don't think a game has nailed movement this well since Breath of the Wild for, like, a 3D action open-world game. Like, Link feels really good in that game. I mean, obviously, like, Mario or something notwithstanding, right? Like, Odyssey is its own thing. But I'm talking about, like, a game where, like, you're
like a
mostly
3D
just exploring
open world, like,
action.
It feels better than The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Like, which is a low bar, but
yeah, sure.
still.
Perfect. Which is, it's just very impressive that they nailed it. The second thing I think they nailed on the same level, pretty much the same level of Breath of the Wild, is sound design.
Yes, you were talking to me about this.
Yeah, I actually messaged Mina about this the other day because I thought of all the people that I know she would understand, and she did. I appreciated that because I was like, am I a crazy person, or does this game like literally just sound like Breath of the Wild? And it does. They use a lot of the same like minimalist sound cues when like a Pokemon spots you in the overworld. It's the same thing as when like a Bokoblin spots Link in the overworld, and the music kind of starts up, but it just a few notes, you know, like do 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 do. I think the Arceus flute sounds a lot like Breath of the Wild stuff, which is funny because I know that sound effect predates.
Oh, it definitely predates. I mean, as
Breath of the Wild by a lot.
As a huge Pokemon veteran, like you said, you know, the Azure flute from Gen 4, like, I was always so enamored by it because, you know, that was programmed into those games, but we never got it. It never officially happened, right? But,
oh, wow.
And yet, but because that's like, it had this mystique to a lot of people who were playing Pokemon at that time and were deep into it the way I was. And so to have that callback to something that has never officially been released, I thought was really fun. But adding to the point of it is such a good like sound effect to indicate something like important, you know.
Yes.
And so, you know, I really like their use of it, but it's not just that sound effect, right? Like, it's the way that the music just very subtly changes depending on what you're doing at any given time.
Yeah.
That really makes you... It kind of tells you how to feel in any given moment, you know? and very few games kind of nail the sound design aspect of things, right?
Well, especially in an open world like this. And
Yeah,
I
mean,
actually think it's very important to what made... Like, I like open world games, generally speaking. They're not my favorite thing in the world most of the time. But something about Breath of the Wild felt different, and the sound was a lot of that. And for Pokemon to show up on attempt number 1 and like nail... I know that the Game Freak has a very talented sound team.
Yes.
Because we could talk about the Zone music all day. I miss it when it's gone. It's so good. The arrangements of some of the Diamond and Pearl themes are like mind blowing. The Jubilife City theme is like the comfiest theme
song.
in video games. It's a shame that this game will probably never be recognized for like a soundtrack award, you know?
Oh yeah, because it absolutely deserves it.
But it's just impressive to me that the sound team nailed what Breath of the Wild also nailed for me on their first go at making an open world game. So yeah, those are the two big things to me that really, really stood out, was just how well everything controlled, especially including the ride beasts or the ride Pokemon. The fact that you can like mount up on the deer, walk up, like sprint up to a wall, and in one button press be the climbing guy.
Yep. I love how seamless that is.
What's his name?
And then jump off the cliff
Sneasler?
and go into Braviary.
Yeah, and then you can... I'm sorry, what was his name?
Braviary?
No, the Sneasel.
Sneasler.
Oh, Sneasel.
Sneasler. I knew it was something. Sneasler's a very funny name. You can do the deer into a wall. One button press, you're Sneasler climbing. One more button press, you jump off the face of the mountain. And one more button press, you're flying.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's so smart because juggling multiple mounts like that can be very clunky in a game, right? But Game Freak did a great job of making it just so seamless. Yeah. So because a lot of times what I find myself in a lot of games that have mounts, like say Breath of the Wild, I think there's something Breath did poorly, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
I never wanted to use the horse because it was just inconvenient.
It can't climb.
It can't climb, and getting and summoning it and all that is a bit more obtuse, right? Intentionally so.
In
right?
this game, your horse can basically climb, or it can
yeah.
morph into something that can climb.
Yeah.
And then once you're at the top, it can turn back into your horse.
Yeah.
It's it is very silly, but it makes for a game that really it really helps you be able to explore every inch of it because fundamentally exploring it is very fun to control, it's super smart what they did.
I think in terms of mounts, I think there's only one that I didn't like. I think the bear is kind of boring. I almost never wanted to switch to the treasure hunting bear.
Ursaluna, I didn't use Ursaluna very much.
It's a quest bear.
Yeah.
It is very much a quest bear, which I thought was fine for its purposes, right? But otherwise, I thought the other ones just are really, really great to use. I mean, Basque Legion having bullet time was something kind of unexpected.
And the double jump.
Double jump, yeah.
And so I actually find that kind of interesting with Basque Legion. What I find... Why do you have to press A if you fall in water?
Yeah, that is strange, right?
So
because everything else
I have a few little nitpicks about certain things, and they just feel like why can't you jump?
Yeah.
Why can't I throw my Pokemon out to harvest things while I'm on a mount?
I think that's the one big mistake with the mounts, is the fact that on Basque Legion, you can still do everything with your Pokemon.
Yeah,
right?
And that's what makes it feel so weird.
With everyone else, I feel like at a minimum, okay, I get it, Sneasler
and Braviary, I could understand.
Totally get. But Weirdeer and Ursaluna,
I don't understand why they didn't let you.
No, because then what all that ends up happening is, you're just going to skip getting a bunch of materials that you could get, right? And I think that's the one big flaw with the mounts. That very, very bizarre choice.
One more quick thing, though. You say it seems silly, the way it works. I agree that it is a little bit silly, and it especially since it doesn't use this justification in games, since the Pokemon aren't in Pokeballs. But a Pokemon game is the one game where that kind of, mount switching could kind of work. Because you have all your mounts literally in your pocket.
Attached to you in your pocket,
yeah. You could easily...
That would be cool if you could, raise your own mounts, in a sequel game.
Yeah. Keep them out in the field that you have attached to the house that currently has, all of the most powerful gods of the land living in it. It is one thing, I understand why they did it, and it was very smart to do it the way they did, but I was kind of hoping it would be a Let's Go type of thing, where, in Let's Go you could ride basically any Pokemon that was big enough to ride, right? Yeah.
It would have been fun, but for gameplay reasons, it is smart to narrow it down to very specific Pokemon, right?
I think they made the right choice.
Yeah.
I think they made the right choice because they weren't just talking about Pokemon you can ride. There's other utility. There's other utility.
Oh yeah. They have a lot of story importance, right?
Well, not just the story importance. I'm saying there's more utility than just you're riding a Pokemon to get from point A to point B.
Oh yeah. You're not just
There's ones that can climb. Yeah. There's ones that can swim.
So because they have such disparate abilities, you did need to narrow it down to very specific Pokemon, right? And so it made sense, but it just immersion wise, I guess it is a bit silly though, because it's just tap a button and they're here.
So did you have any other big like big gameplay concepts that you wanted to talk about, like negative or positive?
I mean, I will say just collect, because generally doing the Pokédex is my favorite part of a Pokemon game.
Yeah, I can agree to that to some degree.
That's generally, like, I enjoy filling out the Pokédex. It's just something I really enjoy doing. So a game all about that, it's absolutely my dream Pokemon game, you know? And I'm surprised at it really truly has not gotten old to me yet, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm still very much enjoying filling that thing out, doing the missions for each one, not the missions, but like the checklist, whatever they're called. Yeah, the doing the checklist for the Pokemon to get them to 10. It's something that hasn't gotten old to me, and I think it's funny because I know we keep mentioning Breath of the Wild, right? For good reason, though. This game is very inspired by that game.
Yeah.
But one of the things that inherently Pokemon is able to do that Breath of the Wild was not able to do is the enemy variety, because they are Pokemon and because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
It felt like every little new corner of the map, like you were finding something very new, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of appalled at the Pokemon behavior is not as standardized as I thought it would be, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, to an extent it is, but they're actually pretty smart about giving each Pokemon at least enough traits that you're like, you know what, yeah, this Pokemon would act this way. Right. My favorite example of this is the sneaky little Krogunk. Is Krogunk the small one? Yeah, Krogunk, yeah. Krogunk's enemy behavior is the funniest thing to me. Because when you're looking straight at it, it cowers away. It starts running away, right? The second it is out of your line of sight, it starts attacking you with poison. Which that is a perfect that captures the essence of that Pokemon so well, you know?
Yeah, it does. It's very funny.
And so I loved touches like that. And so again, like just inherently, every time I saw a new Pokemon, it was this like, oh wow, like you know. Despite I've seen all these Pokemon many a time over the years, right? None of these Pokemon are new to me besides the handful of actual new additions. But every new species I found, not new as you know what I mean? Like, every single time I found a species that has not been, that I haven't encountered in this specific game yet, it was impactful every single time. Which I think is actually hasn't even happened for regular Pokemon before, besides the new gens when you encountered actual new Pokemon, you know?
Yeah, no, it's very true.
I think for me, my favorite part of this game, as someone who's not a big JRPG guy, I just love, like, they made it so satisfying to throw the Pokeballs, like, the sound of the balls hitting, especially from, like, the back hits.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like, so the most satisfying sound.
Yes, you feel so good when you nail the back
and then that, like, extra pop you get when, like, the Pokeball, like, the capture sound is, like, that, like, firework. It feels great. It still feels great, like, towards the end of the game.
Yeah, the sound design team, hats off to them, because they created just an incredible vibe.
Yeah. Whoever thought we'd have a stealth action Pokemon game?
Right, it's kind of a unique thing too, isn't it? It's cool. I guess the one last big system I'd like to talk about before we move on to another topic is crafting, which I thought mechanically they handled very well. I liked being able to be in the middle of the field and craft more Pokeballs.
Yeah, it's pretty seamless.
Yes.
I guess my only minor complaint with it, and this would actually probably be alleviated if I could farm materials while mounted, is I feel like, especially once you get to Ultra Balls, it starts taking a little bit too much to make.
Yeah,
where
like,
it doesn't
I was
really feel worth it to not just buy them anymore.
Yeah, at some point I just started buying them because I was surprised at how much I was actually running out of balls, you know? Like, because in the early game, funnily, in the early game I was not encountering this as much. right?
Mm-hmm.
In the early game, I found that like, and I think partially it is because the materials in that first area, well, maybe it's not the materials, but maybe you're right. It is the fact that after the first area, you start using weird deer, right?
Yeah.
But before, when you were forced on foot, you are farming for the materials a lot more, and so when it was that way, I was not encountering that problem as much. But as soon as I left Area 1, it was getting to this point where it was just like, man, like, I am not finding enough to craft these damn Pokeballs. like,
Yeah. You end up like I just bought a shitload of iron towards the end. I was like, I have like hundreds of redstone or tumblestone, and then like 0 iron. So I just bought like a shitload of it.
Yeah, I think it's like the exact right level of complexity that I would want out of crafting in a Pokemon game. I just wish it was tuned a little bit better. Like maybe instead of like you use that amount of materials to craft a stack of 5 Ultra Balls instead of 1, because 1 Ultra Ball is nothing, dude. It is nothing.
Because generally, I don't I don't care for crafting much in most games, but. So I was surprised that I did like it for the most part in this game. It was just it needed a little more fine tuning in the balance of it, right? But otherwise, I do think like there is it wasn't a detriment to my playthrough for the most part. And I actually actively enjoyed it for a lot of it. But yeah, it needed a little more fine tuning, I think, in terms of.
I like that I didn't have to go to a crafting bunch, and you just have it with you all the time.
Yeah,
so
having it with you that is the right call, 100%.
It was.
Yep. Well, and then the benefit of being at a crafting bench is that you have your
you have access
materials.
to your whole ass. Yeah, so the crafting table is not like useless. Right?
Yeah,
it still has a purpose. Yeah,
it's very good stuff.
I wish quest givers could access your inventory. Like sometimes it'll be like, oh, this person needs 3 wood. It's like, just I have it. Just give it to them.
Especially if it's in
making me go back to my Instead, I have to go back to the chest, find it through like my 50 pages of items.
What's weird is sometimes there's an inconsistency with the way the quests work when you have to show them a Pokemon. Sometimes it'll give you access to your field, and sometimes it won't. I don't know what the
that is very strange.
Was, or if it was just like a mistake or whatever.
I think it's if you're in like the town, you can usually access your pasture, but if you're in like the Pokemon field, then you usually can't.
Interesting. So, moving along, this is probably one of the more story-heavy Pokemon games.
Yes.
Mainline.
Should we get into full spoilers now, or should we talk about like bosses in general before?
I was
going to
say we could talk about the structure and how you move through the story, because it's very different from a traditional Pokemon game, and just like completely distinguishable. They're totally different things. The way this works. So you are isekai'd, as it were, anime style, straight into ancient Pokemon world. I guess it's implied that you come from modern Pokemon world, right? Like, supposedly your character probably lived in like the Sinnoh region or whatever. Is that the implication?
Yeah, I think that's the implication. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. It's kind of, now that I think about it, it's kind of hard to tell if it's that or if you're like from the real world and you're just a Pokemon nerd.
I think the implication is you're from a Pokemon game, but you're from a modern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So you get isekai'd into this ancient Pokemon world, into what is probably the worst 2 hours of the whole game. Right there at the beginning.
Yeah. No, it's undeniably the worst, but it didn't bother me that much.
I think it's the worst 2 hours of the game, just flat out. It made me stop playing it for a couple days, because I was like, ugh.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh no, I'm gonna hate this.
Uh-huh.
Because they have that like slow because like
Yeah,
you
they
wake
do
up
the
on-
slow walking thing, which I was like, I was
Ooh,
appalled by
I
when
was
I
like-
when I was like,
They,
was out.
they only use that twice in the game, but it's like, oh,
The
do not do that.
But the second
I despise
hold on,
slow walking.
I gotta hand it to them. The second time it was good.
yes, the second time it was good.
The second time it
was
worked.
actually
It
was actually
worked.
very well utilized. But yeah, the intro is a bit of a slog. That I think that's undeniable, right? But what's nice is the second it is over, though.
I don't like the professor.
I don't like the professor.
I think
either.
he's easily the worst professor since.
He's a weirdo.
So he's probably the worst professor since. What's Gen 3's? I forget his name.
Birch?
Yeah, I hate Birch. Birch is so lame. And then, so yeah, you then you show up, and then you're like, you into this town where everybody is an ancestor of a Diamond and Pearl character, which is very, very strange. Like,
I mean, I liked it. It was a fun way to do, you know, it was a very interesting way to reference those characters because it's like, and to their credit, not literally everyone is an ancestor, right? Of someone.
Almost every important character is.
But yes, like a very large chunk of them are. You know, in game though, it really only it stops at appearances. Like they're not very much actively referencing anything about their descendants, I guess. Right?
No, they're not. It's just like the Majora's Mask effect, you know?
Yeah.
Where like you kind of roll up and everybody looks the same.
Yeah.
But they're different people, and you're like,
but they're entirely different people. Yep.
Yeah.
And even when they're like completely different, like gender bent and everything, like Cyrus and what's her name, and Siniel, yeah, or like when it's real off the wall, like Benny and Wally. It's like, what are you doing? What is this mess? Like, why is Wally's ancestor the chef?
Well, he even says, he's like, you know, this place is way too damn cold. I gotta move somewhere nice and warm.
Yeah, it's just very, it's just very
fun.
It's very weird. It's fun though. I do like it. I don't want to come off like I don't like it. It's just like it's kind of like, wow, this is crazy. Like they went for it in a fun way. And then, so you show up and you're part of Team Galactic, which is led by Professor Rowan's ancestor, which is very weird. It really made me wonder, like, what was Game Freak thinking with this story? You know, like, because it doesn't really explain any of it by the end.
Oh no! Like you never go back home, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, as far as I know, I guess maybe if you get to like the final thing.
Maybe later in the game, but I haven't encountered it.
Yeah, it is weird that like there's no like option to like go back to your own timeline.
It's very funny. Arceus is just like catch all Pokemon, and then you catch them all, and then you're like he's like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything about it.
Yeah, he's like, later, nerd. Thanks.
It's very funny.
So yeah, once you get like settled into your daily life though in the town, you know, you start taking missions. So the Pokemon elders, I guess, that look over the land are going crazy because of the hole in the sky that you fell out of.
Yeah.
And you are basically tasked, along with the rest of this task force for this town, to figure out how to like stop these Pokemon from warring with or like going crazy and like killing everybody, because everybody in this world is terrified of Pokemon.
Oh yeah,
and
they literally say Pokemon are terrifying creatures. Like 10 different characters say that. It feels like,
and I'm not, and like, I get it. Some Pokemon would be scary, but like there's a side quest where a lady's like, "Bring me a Starly," and you bring her a Starly, and she's like, "No, that's horrifying. I can't look at that any longer."
Oh,
And I'm like,
it's wild.
that's
Like
so
the
cute.
characterization of Pokemon in this game, it almost feels like it's like, man, how did the Pokemon company, who's so stringent on like brand guidelines, this game feels like it's throwing a lot of those just out the window,
Yeah,
right?
in a very fun way.
But in a way that works so well. I'm so happy that they did, but it's just crazy that it happened, you know?
So yeah, it is wild. So then basically from that point forward, you're thrown out into the world, and you go around to the different shrines where these leader Pokemon exist, and you engage in boss fights that are actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Surprisingly fun. You basically craft a bunch of items that they're kind of like they kind of tranquilize the rampaging Pokemon, and you throw these.
You're feeding them their favorite foods.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. That's right. Their favorite foods.
Yeah, it's everything they love. It's like just throwing like cheese right at my face.
Yeah, yeah. If you threw a bunch of cheese at me, I eventually probably would stop being so upset.
Calm down.
But so you throw a bunch of the balls at the boss wall. You have to dodge some pretty complex patterns sometimes.
Yeah.
The second to last. Well, no, it's actually the very last of the
Of the main quest.
the main quest, the shrine quest. So not like not like after you go
Yeah.
to the tower at the end.
Right.
But Avalug, whatever. That one actually killed me a couple times.
Same. I was surprised, but like I died a couple times.
You battled those?
Well, no,
I didn't battle any of those Pokemon.
What?
What do you mean?
Wait. You mean like
During their
did you
boss
like go into the Pokemon battles, or you mean like throwing balls at them?
No, like throwing balls at it, like and it's attacking
which one is
you while
Avalug?
Avalug is the last one. It's the big ice monster.
Yeah, the big iceberg.
Oh, that one was hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you meant the one in the cave.
No,
that
no,
like
no.
Stompy dude. Got it.
No.
Yeah. The
so
ice one was hard.
But
It traps you sometimes. You sometimes can't get away.
yeah, those boss fights were surprisingly intense, and there's a lot to be said about what will carry over from this game. I can feel pretty confident this will not carry over.
Yeah.
But this was a fun thing to do, and something I never expected. I never expected Game Freak to have big boss fights where the Pokemon is attacking you, the player character.
Yeah, and you're literally dodge rolling through attacks.
Yeah. It was very fun, and they did still make sure to put in features that so a younger audience can finish them. Like there is an option if you die where it's like you could just continue where you left off.
Yeah, which is great.
Right?
I think that's wonderful.
That's a good feature to have because Pokemon is an all audiences game, right? Obviously, for us who prefer more of a challenge, we wouldn't use that, but it's nice that that's there, right?
And it's also an RPG, so like maybe someone.
Yeah, if you like the rest of like the RPG aspects of it, but you don't like that part of it, like because it's a very small part of the game overall, but it made an impact on me every time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
they were cool.
Well,
the Arcanine one was the hardest for me. I will say that.
The Avalug one, man, that honestly was the raddest thing in the world.
I love it that it was this giant creature. First of all,
It was massive.
I might be saying his name. I might be saying his name wrong.
I think it's Avalug.
Is it Avalug?
Like Avalanche, but then Avalug.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it was like I didn't even know what to expect out of him because the cool thing about these boss fights is they are all, well, I guess they're either evolutions of pre-existing Pokemon or Hisuian variants of pre-existing Pokemon.
So every major boss fight was something new.
Yeah,
right?
It's a new.
It was because it was either a regional variant of a Pokemon that exists. So. Or it was just like, a brand new evolution of a Pokemon that existed.
Yeah, because Ursaluna is a new Ursaring, and Cleavor is a new Scyther.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Electric Ball like the same one?
Voltorb, but it was a Hisuian
Oh, I didn't even notice it was different.
Or sorry, Electrode. That one's Electrode.
That Electrode is so cool. Grass Electric.
Yeah, so they made him a grass type now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because you know how modern Electrode is like a Pokeball, right? Well, the Pokeballs in this game are made out of wood, so they made them grass type.
Oh, that's so funny. That's
fun
so
little
clever.
detail that they did.
Love it.
But yeah, it was so. And I think, to me, honestly, that was maybe one of the most surprising things during the pre-release cycle was finding out, oh shoot, like they're just adding new Pokemon in this game. Because generally, new Pokemon are reserved for brand new games, like new generations, right? And so to get this game, most of that rule's been broken recently, right? Like Ultra Sun and Moon added new Ultra Beasts.
Let's Go
added Meltan. Little.
I guess
Meltan.
that was more like Go added Meltan, but
yeah,
it was like a cross promotion, I guess.
But definitely at this number, this was very surprising. Yeah, it was definitely surprising just how many there ended up being. And what's fun is basically every new Pokemon in this game or every new form had some sort of story importance, right? Less true for some of like Goodra and Overquill, which is Quillfish's evolution, and Zoroark, but they use them for like a kind of finale quest. So, but you definitely encounter every new Pokemon in a story way in this game, which I thought was very fun. It kind of rewarded the whole, like, because they were very keen to not show too much of this game, right? And so if you remained spoiler free, you were rewarded because you got to see all of that first time. So when you fight this giant Avalugg, for example, you have never seen an Avalugg that looks like this. You have never seen a Lilligant that looks like this, etc.
Well, at that point, my mind is like racing to like, what in the world could an Avalugg from this area be? You know, especially since we're in an ice place already. Is it going to be another ice monster? But it just looks so cool once you finally got there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically how the game pans out. There's two clans, the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan. They're pretty useless, to be honest, like storyline wise. What I'll say about this game's story is I thought that there were a couple story beats that were pretty good. I liked the lady who took care of the Hisuian Growlithe's and Arcanine. And I liked her relationship with the dude who, from the other clan.
From the other clan, yeah.
Who took care of Basculesian. I thought that was a cute, like, story beat. And I think it does kind of come together at the end when you, and this is full spoiler, fight Volo, who looks ridiculous. In his little, like...
little anime villain.
Well, no, he looks like a little, like Hermes or some shit from Hercules. Or, I don't know. He looks so dumb. I'm glad that Cynthia has another ancestor in this game who's cool, because that dude's a loser. But the cutscene, after you beat his trainer battle, and he's got Giratina right next to him, is so rad.
Yes.
Like, just straight up hype
that was cool.
moment. Like, probably the hypest moment in the mainline Pokemon game, like, cinematically speaking, ever.
For sure.
It's not like a super well-told story or anything, but it comes together in the end.
I would say it's an atrociously told story, but... there were a few points that were
really?
okay.
I think it comes together at the end because, like, they kick you out, and that's the other slow walking scene that we alluded to earlier. Is the leader of the galactic town starts to get real suspicious of you, which is actually kind of fair in a way. It's a little bit silly, but it's like, how did this 12-year-old show up and defeat all of the most powerful, like, beings in this world, you know? How did this
catch two literal gods?
Caught two literal gods while we watched. maybe she does have something to do with all of this, so he kicks you out. And that's the other slow walking scene, like I said a second ago, where you slowly having to leave the camp while people are like looking at you and saying, this is not right. I thought he handled that pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe it's a little heavy-handed,
that was not
a little
bad.
like silly for a Pokemon game, but like they tried.
I mean, I honestly was pretty positive about the story. Like, obviously, it is nothing like, this is not gonna win any awards, right?
Yeah. For me, it was just the dialogue that was mostly really bad.
Sure,
But, like,
It goes
some
on,
parts were
it
fine.
goes on too long, and the best parts of the game is that like middle chunk of like 20 hours where they barely say a word to you, and they're just like, go to this new place and fix the problem there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, good, you did it. Come back and talk to us when you filled up enough of the Pokedex to level it up again. And I'm like, all right, see ya, peace. I'm gonna go listen to the music in Crimson Mirelands and enjoy myself. But yeah, like, it's not terrible or anything, and I was impressed that it came together with anything at the end, instead of it just being like a train wreck snooze fest like the end of Sword Shield story. It doesn't feel like they ran out of budget or anything here.
No, I think, to me, though, because, Pokemon stories are nothing to write home about in general, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And this one was trying for something interesting, and I just kind of applaud it for that in of itself, And again, like, I don't know what you could possibly expect from a Pokemon story, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. So, I'm sorry, maybe saying it was atrocious was too far, but, like...
Yeah, I was surprised that, like, they tried for some interesting things. Like, they do touch upon, like, hey, like, this Galaxy team, they're kind of, like, invading on, like, the native people's space. That's kind of weird. They don't do anything with that, but they touch on it, and that's more than expected for a Pokemon game, Yeah. I don't know. I came away fairly... Again, it's a silly
there's a
Pokemon
lot
story
of, I would say
at the
there's a
end of
lot of characters, and some of them are pretty fun.
And I thought the characters were very
The
fun.
hairdresser lady.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The character designs are all really good.
Yeah.
Which I guess that can be the next thing we move into, unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to say about the story or structure. This is probably the game's weakest point, is how it looks. I don't think it looks so bad that it's, like, distracting or anything most of the time. Some of the time when there's a bird way out there in the distance and he's moving at, like, 2.5 frames per second.
2 frames, yeah.
That's a little bit weird, and the pop-in can be a little egregious. If one of my pet peeves is once you have the bird, if you fly a little bit too far to the edge of the map, it becomes so foggy you can't see anything. But yeah, overall, like, it's a pretty rough-looking video game.
It's funny because I think it looks pleasant for the most part, but art direction wise, I should say, right?
Yeah.
But technically speaking, while it is fairly ambitious for a Switch game, I think, because I don't think it looks bad because of a lack of ambition. Certainly not, right?
No.
But I do think the technical flaws of this game do detract a little bit from what they were going for, Mm-hmm. And I'm generally not someone who, like, I don't, like, people are saying, oh, Elden Ring, I can't believe it basically looks like Dark Souls 3. I'm like, you people are stupid, right?
Well, first of all, Dark Souls 3 looks incredible. So, like,
yeah, exactly. But, that's a tangent, though. But, like, things could be a little wonky, and for a game that's all about kind of like... Basically, the game is about observing the Pokemon behaviors and interacting with them, right? So when when the technical side of things started to fall apart, it did kind of kill that vibe a little bit, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's like everything that's underwater is, like, at a lower resolution.
yeah.
Like, this is weird. Like, what's going on, like, fucking 140p fish? I can't even tell what you are.
So some textures, like, and stuff, like, do look pretty darn bad. I think overall it looks fine. More of my issue is if it looked like this, the frame rate should be a solid 60. Like, that's what I'm annoyed with. It's sometimes, like, even when you're, like, the Avalog boss fight, like, when you're dodge rolling sometimes, like, it chops. It gets, like, really choppy when you're, like, dodging through, like, a bunch of those bullets.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, this should be a lot smoother for what it looks like and what the Switch can handle. Like, this should be a pretty smooth game.
Yeah, I agree with
that was
too.
Yeah.
Did y'all notice, like, when you'd go into a cave sometimes, the way the, like, little white dotted outline around your character would show up, like, you could see the outline of the 3D model? Like,
that's
just, I don't know, man. There's just some... I think the art design is really good. I actually think the skybox is gorgeous.
The sky looks great, and the Pokemon look great. Those are the two things probably look the best.
And the character models are decent enough, and they they animate pretty well. But
yeah,
I don't have a lot to say about the visuals other than that I wish they were better. Mm-hmm. So we've covered.
Did anyone? Go on. Sorry.
Please,
I was gonna say, did anyone try like any of the DLC stuff that came out the other day?
I haven't had a chance, unfortunately, because goddamn Elden Ring.
I did a little bit. I played the first few quests of the Massive Outbreak chain, and it was just looking at some of the Massive Outbreak stuff. That seems neat. There's just like outbreaks all over the map, and some of them have like big alpha Pokemon, and they'll flash. They'll like flash a different color on the mini map. But I didn't get too far into that chain. But I did give it a look.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Because
Seems like a lot of content.
I'm not done playing this game yet. So.
No, I'm not either. I need to play Elden Ring first, but I want to get back to Pokemon.
Elden Ring kind of cut the legs off this one for a lot of people, I think.
Something else cut the legs off of this one we'll talk about next week.
But it is kind of crazy when you think about like this, like this game and Elden Ring coming out, just two like open world games that are.
I mean, here's the thing. I was thinking about this morning, but I was like, man, if either Pokemon Legends or Elden Ring had come out any other year from 2018 to 2021, they would have been my favorite game of the year.
Yeah, and now it's like, and now it's like Breath of the Wild 2 is probably also coming
Breath of the Wild
this year.
2, this year is just absurd.
3 games inspired by Breath of the Wild.
And since I feel like we've covered, do you have any closing thoughts on Pokemon Arceus?
It is a little. There's a lot to be excited here, right? I love how seamless the battles are now, right? Because I think one of the biggest complaints people had about Sword and Shield was, man, they put no effort into a lot of the battle transitions in the game. But now it's all just seamless in the world, and that seems like it'll continue.
And you can run around in the battle.
And you can run while the that's so
nice.
wild.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of smart evolutions here, and I think some people may be a little pessimistic about what carries over, but to me, from what I've already seen in Scarlet Violet, it's like, oh man, no, like, huh?
Oh shit, you said it.
Oh, actually, yeah. It does feel like, hey, like, Arceus, no, we're not going to keep the real-time stuff, no, we're not going to keep maybe, like, the structure of it, right? But the emphasis on the open world, the open areas, and the Pokemon interacting in the overworld, and having seamless battle, like, that stuff is staying. And I think those are the biggest changes, right?
Well, they're also the ones that people want the most.
Yeah, those are the ones that you would want. Those seem to be sticking around. And so I think, this is a great step. It's not just a great stepping stone for the franchise, but it is also just but the things that make it unique make it stand out as, like, I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite Pokemon games already. It might already have become my favorite Pokemon game. I still haven't. I need some more time to think about that. But I really thought this was just an outstanding game, and I had a phenomenal time with it.
Yeah, I played only like 2. I've tried Yellow before, and I tried Pearl, and I liked them, but I just couldn't get super into them. I fell off around 4 badges into each one. But this is the furthest I've ever gotten a Pokemon game. I got to like the final boss in this game, like not like the final Dex boss, but like the one before that.
Which is
and I just had a
credits
great
roll,
time.
right?
What? After the credits roll.
Yeah, so like you beat the game, so to speak.
I quote beat the game, and then I almost quote beat the game. But no, I had a great time. It's like my favorite part is definitely not the main story, but it's just like the open world in general. And I would definitely like to do more of the deck stuff and more of the side quests. And I really look forward to an Arceus 2. Like, I don't know if Gen 9 will carry enough over from this one that will make me want to play it. Like, if it has, like, if there's no, like, catching, like, in the wild, I don't know. We'll see. But, like, I'm definitely looking forward to, like, a Legends 2 at least, if Gen 9 doesn't catch my eye.
I would happily play another game like this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That was identical. That was exactly like this, except it's like ancient history, New York, or Unova or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, man, that one might be a little bit. That actually
it might be a little problematic.
Sketch. Yeah, maybe stick to the other. Never mind.
Yeah, but I will say, as much as I love this game, and I would eat up a Legends too, for sure, right? A Legends, Alola or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I will say, one of the things that I really liked about this game, just the core concept of, hey, we're gonna go back to a region that we haven't been in a while, and we're just gonna experiment and do something weird with it, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of hope that spirit of experimentation and just doing kind of weird, crazy stuff, I hope that continues more than, hey, I want a Legends 2, Mm-hmm. I just want them to be like, look, we have this crazy idea. We're not sure if this will work for a mainline game, but, we have all these old regions that we can mess around with, right? Why not kind of try something? Like, I hope that spirit kind of continues because the people who ended up doing this it was a combination of like the remake team and the Let's Go team, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this game is far more interesting than just before this game was unveiled, a lot of people were like, hey, can we get Diamond and Pearl remakes in the Sword and Shield engine? And this game ended up being far more interesting than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
So I hope Game Freak continues to just experiment and do weird stuff in between generations because you'll get stuff you just never expected. I think that's fun.
Yeah, and it could potentially make the main generations more exciting if some of this new stuff sticks. Yeah, I hope Legends 2 is not like a super like safe sequel of like the same. Even though I'd like the same game again.
Okay, no, if it ends up being a direct like another Legends game, I'm totally down. But definitely though for me it's more just Game Freak just do weird stuff.
Yeah.
Get freaky with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, ultimately for me, this game was a huge surprise in all of the best ways possible. Yes. So much of it worked that it shocked me, and in a lot of ways. They let themselves play fast and loose with what it meant to be like a Pokemon RPG made by Game Freak, which I think speaks to Mina's point about them being creative more often and like getting weird with it. And like maybe not adhere so rigidly to the old standards. It's definitely one of my favorite Pokemon games, which I did not expect to be sitting here saying a month ago. And I would also like to just real quick. We'll spring into a quick little 5-minute, and we'll make sure this doesn't go over crazy. About Gen 9, which I would like to open up with, can we just appreciate the, like, massive dick energy of making Arceus and Gen 9 at the same time?
At the same
It is wild.
Because that game is coming out in 9 months, most likely.
Yep.
Like, 10 months at the absolute most. And it's clearly taking so much from Arceus, at least like from the world design standpoint, that there is no way that they used Arceus as a template you and Mina, you said earlier, it's like, oh, we have this wild idea for a game. We don't know if it could be a mainline game or not, but let's try it. Arceus isn't even that, because it's very clearly something that was made in tandem with Gen 9.
No, you're absolutely
that they
right.
used, that they started at like the same point and like used the same. They were very clearly trading ideas and working with each other.
What I think is they saw like the pre-alpha or like the idea of Arceus, and then were like, "Oh, huh."
Well, no, that's
actually cool.
I think James is right that I think Gen 9 was in development, and they decided let's fork what we have into like some other stuff, right? And then I think they were kind of trading ideas back and forth because clearly the games are 10 months apart, 11 months apart at most. Yeah, right.
It's just wild. It's just absolutely wild.
And hey, kudos to Game Freak. They are clearly the most efficient developers in Nintendo's first-party stable, right?
Mina and I both said on this very podcast, not even like 2 months ago, with utmost confidence that we would not see Gen 9 until 2023. I genuinely thought that the people expecting Gen 9 and that Pokemon Presents the other day were insane.
Yeah, I thought they were like...
And sorry, go ahead.
I just thought they were like huge like Poke fans and stuff.
Right.
Like, okay.
And then the funniest part of all of it is I thought it would be Detective Pikachu 2, and that trailer made it look like
hilarious.
it was going to be fucking Detective Pikachu 2.
Amazing.
Amazing stuff, truly.
Yeah.
But mostly what I'd like... is it not crazy that they felt so confident about Arceus' design that they were gonna like Gen 9 and Arceus happened like simultaneously, and Arceus is like very clearly like an appetizer for what Gen 9 is going to offer to like the traditional Pokemon fan.
Yeah,
and like they could have lived off Arceus for like the next year.
Easily.
2 years, like
very, very easily had some DLC for that.
But the fact that they're just going straight into Gen 9, I'm all for it. I'm very excited about that. And
well, the trailer's very exciting, and again, we're about 3 minutes into the 5-minute allotment, so and I really don't want to go super deep into that because it'll
because we'll do a full one next week and then talk about like the big state of Pokemon in general.
But I just can't. I'm still kind of like flabbergasted that game's coming out this year.
It was an amazing surprise, like because the rest of that presentation was so boring.
Oh yeah, it was terrible, and
it was like here is Pokemon Masters. It's 1.5 year anniversary. Shut the hell up.
2.5 year, dude. That game's been out for 2.5 years. How the fuck, dude?
I was like, shut the hell up, Game Freak.
So my oh man, I lost my thought. That's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, the Pokemon Presents sucked. That's all there is to it, except for the ending, which was just borderline mind blowing. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. That it'll be interesting to see how Arceus does, sales wise. Out, as an allusion to another previous episode with Mina, because I believe. We were saying Arceus probably doesn't stand to cut off Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl's legs.
Right.
But Gen 9 is almost definitely going to cut off at least Diamond and Pearl's legs. Yeah,
I think Scarlet Violet do... it'll be interesting to see what happens to the sales of the current Pokemon games right now because, I don't know. I'm very... and particularly Arceus because... this is going to be the shortest time from release to reveal the next game. Literally a month later. And it's funny because Arceus had it both ways, right? Because it came out 2 months after another release, and then now a month after that, something else got announced. So the actual period of talking about just Arceus was like 3 months.
Yeah, because now any Arceus conversation, including this one, has to include Violet and Scarlet. Or Scarlet.
Yeah.
Maybe they just had really low expectations for Arceus.
No, I don't think that's what it was. I think, well, first of all, I maybe this is, sorry, veering a little off track, but my theory is that it was going to come out in November, and then pandemic got it delayed 2 months.
Got it.
And I think this game was just kind of made as like, hey, let's let's prototype with some stuff. Like, let's experiment with stuff while we make this, because Game Freak is big enough to do 2 games at the same time. You know,
I was
so why
gonna
not?
say my like kind of pet theory is that Arceus started off as like, hey, let's just screw around with like throwing Pokeballs in an open world at Pokemon and see where we get with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, this will probably actually work for a real Pokemon game. But you know what? We got a lot of that made already. Why don't we just throw this to the Let's Go people and the people that just finished this Sword and Shield DLC and let them polish it up into something. And we'll probably sell that too because it's pretty fun. It's pretty good.
And I'm sure that like this game actually benefited the development of Scarlet Violet because like I do believe Scarlet Violet wanted to go open world from the beginning, right? But it was like it's like, hey, we have this tech for open, but let's prototype it. Let's have our tech team prototype it with smaller areas, so that way we can fix the kinks and get it ready for release for on a bigger scale a little bit later, right? I feel like that makes the most sense to me, where it's like, you know, because a release a year earlier, what that allows them to do is like, hey, we get to mess with this engine, we get to do we get to test it in all sorts of different ways, right? And then ultimately, okay, well now we use what we learned for that final stretch of development, right? Or not even the final, like they concurrently, right? We're able to help each other out.
It's still wild to be going from these 5 open areas to a big seamless open world within a year.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
And one thing I want to point out, real quick, while the visuals were very obviously running in a similar, probably the same engine as Arceus or whatever, it still had its own distinct look. So it's still maintaining that feeling of like every mainline Pokemon game on the Switch has its own unique visual style, which I think is cool.
Yes, agree.
So I think that's probably gonna do it here this week for the.
Wait, there's one thing we should touch on. We didn't even mention the battle system of Arceus.
Oh, sure, it is different, right? Like it's very much the Pokemon battle system, but the turn order stuff is interesting because like there's strong style and agile style, and you have a turn order at the right hand side of the screen, and depending on what kind of moves you use, like you can game the turn order a little bit, right?
A little bit sometimes
to an extent.
You don't have as much control over it as I would have liked.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is something I'm happy to leave behind in Arceus, to be honest.
Yeah, it's cute, and I understand why they did it because it's kind of like a streamlining thing. Yeah, it was like because they don't have held items, you don't have abilities, you don't have stuff like that, like all the like deeper layer complexity shit that's in a Pokemon game.
That's been introduced over the years.
So they threw on this like little like tiny meta game on top of it that they knew didn't have to be anything because there wasn't going to be multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I apologize for forgetting to bring that up, but it was just so
to be honest, it just didn't. Yeah, it didn't make an impression on me. The thing.
Yeah, it was okay. Like I thought it would have been cooler. Like Sun was like the only time I ever like used them really was like, okay, I'm versing like 5 enemies at once. I'm gonna use Agile so I can get like maybe an extra attack in. That's kind of it.
The one thing I actually do like about it, I like the idea of the Agile and heavy style for buffs and debuffs. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, agree.
And I think that it would be cool, like, if you, like, the one part of gaming the turn order that worked relatively consistently for me that was fun was on my Samurott using Agile-style sword dance, so it was just a tiny buff, but then strong styling the next attack because it let me attack twice.
Oh, that's nice.
And you could actually do a fair amount of damage that way.
Yes.
And that was like the only like fun interaction I found
of the
battle system. So it's
literally, I had that same exact experience. So that was the only time that I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." But otherwise, it was just it really just ended up being nothing to me.
You know what I should say that we did forget to talk about that now that we're talking about the battle system, I remembered. Whoops. I do like the way skills learning works now, and I like the way evolution works now.
Yes, those are two very
skills
good
are
changes.
nice.
Just like once you're able to evolve, like you can just choose when to evolve rather than it happening on level up. That's a great idea.
Yep.
And
I like that
and
a lot.
more importantly, the move tutor. Like the move relearning. Before in previous games, you had to find a specific NPC and you'd have to give them specific materials that were kind of annoying and hard to find to be able to relearn moves that you didn't have before. Now, once a Pokemon learns a move, it's in their move pool forever, and you can swap out. It's still you're limited to 4 moves, but you could swap out from the learned moves at any given time, as long as you're not in battle. Yeah, and that was very smart, and that's a quality of life improvement that needs to stay. Needs to stay.
It made me want to like customize my Pokemon more, which is something that I might not do if it was more annoying.
Yep. And we should have talked about that. That's one thing I had in mind to talk about and forgot. Okay, so now that we've covered everything, I think that can wrap it up. I do believe Mina is itching to get back to losing to a boss in Elden Ring.
I am indeed.
Godric the Grafted is kicking your ass, as I understand.
Hey, I'm getting close.
Yeah, I bet. So, housekeeping stuff. I don't remember the name of the website. I believe it's Nintendo
I can do the
Pipeline.
closing stuff if you want.
WordPress.com, is that it?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yep.
There's stuff on there. Some stuff. Probably not a lot of new stuff. But there's some stuff.
A lot of old stuff.
There's a lot of old stuff. Some cool old stuff. You should look at it. There's a Discord that you can go to. Discord.gg /
Nintendo Pipeline.
Nintendo Pipeline. You can find all of us in there, for better or worse. And you can find all sorts of fun, interesting individuals
who love Pokemon.
They love talking about Nintendo games. They'll talk about Nintendo games with you all day, all night. Negative, positive, any way you want it. We're on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, probably, Spotify.
Yep.
You're probably listening to this on YouTube. I think that's where most of the views and listens come from.
About half and a half, but yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Android Podcast,
Stitcher. I think I might have said that already. I don't.
You said Stitcher. That's all right.
That's fine.
Literally anywhere you could find a podcast.
Yeah,
we're there.
We should be there.
Yeah, we're partying on all the podcast websites. Thank you, Mina, for guesting for the 3rd time.
Yeah,
not in a row, but
year.
3 out of 4.
Yeah, I might even show up next week. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? You might be on. I mean,
who knows?
Clay doesn't like Pokemon, and this guy barely likes Pokemon, so someone's got to talk about Cafe Mix.
Someone's got to come in and talk about Pokemon and sales. You know?
Maybe I'm a newfound Pokemon fan.
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe Gen 9 will be my favorite game ever.
Arceus made you born again.
You
have been baptized in Arceus's holy sweet horse water. Thank you for being here, Jared. It was interesting having the perspective of someone who doesn't play Pokemon games like a bunch of crazy people like Mina and I do. And we will see you guys next week on the podcast.
See ya.
See ya.